All right. Welcome to Sideboard MTG. My name's Eric, and we've got another deck from one of our patrons. This one comes from Rush. This is a Sword Point Jund deck. It's very akin to the Jund deck that we built very recently. However, Rush wanted to throw some of his fun of cards in the deck. For this deck, I'm actually not going to be trying to tune it or anything, as if you were wanting to play this in the more tuned version, we've already ran that a few weeks ago. That would be the Jund deck. So if you guys want to check that out, you can. I believe this is Rush trying to add a little bit more fun to his very serious deck. So we're going to see if we can have some fun with some of his fun cards. So let me jump over here. All right, guys. For the most part, we've got almost the same deck that we were running, a couple weeks ago when we ran the Jund deck. Now, this deck is slightly different. The mana base is fairly the same. There's not a lot of changes in the mana base here, but what Rush has done is he's added a couple very flavorful cards, if you will. One of those being Fling, and Sword Point Diplomacy being the other one here. Now, what he's given up for that is, for the Fling, we don't see any fatal pushes, anything like that here. We do have some cast out, so I assume that he's given up the slot for fatal push to make room for another Fling. He is running 4 braids and 3 cast downs, plus Fling can be used as a removal spell, so I mean he can use this to some effect, and it's not like this deck is not used to sacrificing a creature to deal with something. I mean, Brontodon does just that. Now, he does have a really good card draw engine here in Glint Sleeve Siphoner, and to make room for the Sword Point Diplomacy, he has given up Chandra. Now, Chandra is a really good card draw engine, but more times than not, I actually find that she's very good ramp in these decks. Even though Sword Point Diplomacy is an excellent source of card draw, I don't know if that's the fun card that I would have chosen, especially since it gives the opponent a lot of agency. They're allowed to make a lot of choices, and I don't really like to let my opponent make the choices. So if he's at 4 life and one of the top 3 cards is the card that I need to, regain, board state or completely take over, he's going to take that 3 points of damage. I'm going to get the other cards, which may be hard to deal with, but I'm not going to get that one card that I really, really need. And then, of course, if you're behind and they've got plenty of life, you're not getting any cards, maybe a land, and who knows, they may decide that the lands are more important and not give you the lands either. So I just really don't like that. Now, when I spoke to Rush about this, he said that it was mainly because he expects to put enough pressure on them that they're not really going to have a lot of options except for to give him the 3 cards. And that may be true, but again, you have to have them, at 3 or below before they truly don't have that option. So, I mean, there's a lot of really good cards in this deck, though. We've got 4 Rekindling Phoenix, Regisaur Alphas, and Carnage Tyrants. This is something we're all very used to. The Deathgorge Scavengers are really good. They allow you to gain some life in the red-black matchups. It's a very, very powerful deck, and he's just taken a couple slots, these 4 slots, and just kind of altered those to benefit his fun and happiness while playing the game, I guess. Personally, I do think that these should be the Chandras. I do think that there should be some Fatal Push in this deck, possibly even some Sweltering Suns or something like that. Now in the sideboard, Rush has got some more real nice things for us here. And Argyle's Bloodfast, if you've been watching any of the competitive events lately, you'll see that this Argyle's Bloodfast is extremely powerful. We see it in the blue-black deck, and I actually didn't give it enough credit in my my runs with the blue-black deck. The card is really, really good, and in those control matchups, this could give you the fuel you need to keep pressuring your opponent. So I do like the Argyle's Bloodfast. 4 copies of Duress. You'll notice he doesn't have any blue here. We're not casting it into the gate, so of course he cannot let up at all on the Duress. He has to have all 4 copies here, and I understand that. Sorcerer's Spyglass, because you just don't want to lose to Teferi. You don't want to lose to any of those hard to deal with creatures like the Scarab God or Hazoret or something like that. And Sorcerer's Spyglass not only lets you take a look and know what's coming, but can allow you to possibly answer that. Now, it's not going to stop those from swinging and hitting you, but it will stop them from activating the abilities. And in this deck, we can normally put up a blocker that's larger than a Hazoret, and we can block, or just simply run over the Hazard. Sweltering Suns, absolutely phenomenal card. I don't think that you could get away with playing a Jund deck right now without at least 2 copies. Preferably, I would like to see 3 copies here of Sweltering Suns. The meta has shifted to the point where there are so many Knights decks, and there are so many red-black decks and red decks that when you bring in these Sweltering Suns, you just have to have them right then. On turn 3 is, especially if you're on the draw, your turn 3, you could be staring at quite a bit of damage back on the other side of the field, and you need to be able to cast these Sweltering Suns. So I do like Sweltering Suns and think that maybe we need to move up to 3 here. But the Crushing Canopies, absolutely great card. We talked about this a lot on stream. Destroy target creature with flying or destroy target enchantment. Both work really well against the white deck. So, I mean, if they've got Lyras, they've got Shala, or something like that, you now have a 3-mana kill spell at instant speed that can deal with those creatures and allow you to keep getting in for damage. Or if they have put something of yours under one of their mini enchantment-based removals, you can absolutely wait till the time is preferable to you to just pop that enchantment, and then bam, you're right back in action. Getting back, something like a Regisaur Alpha is normally just back-breaking for your opponent, because you're probably going to still have your Dino around, and they've removed the Regisaur Alpha, so your Dino didn't have haste, something like that. You pop it, you get yet another Dino. It has haste as well, and you're just doing some really, really mean things. So again, Crushing Canopy, great card. I really, really like it in the current format. I think it's an underused green kill spell, and shortly we won't have to worry about it because we're going to get Vivian Raid. And Vivian Raid's negative ability is slightly better than Crushing Canopy. It is destroy target creature with flying, or target artifact, or target enchantment. I don't think it pops lands. But man, wouldn't that be great? But anyway, Vivian, her ability is for better or worse Crushing Canopy plus artifacts. So really, really good Planeswalker, and I expect that when M19 comes out that we're going to start seeing Vivian in the sideboards here. Now moving on up the curve, we do have a copy of Vraska's Contempt and an Angrath the Flame Chain. Now Angrath's just really, really good at dealing with those control decks and things. You need to help get some of their card advantage back. They will constantly be gaining card advantage on you. It's kind of what they do. Instead of pressuring your life total, they're pressuring your hand, your actions, by gaining more cards so that they can deal with more things, forcing you to keep applying pressure. Well, Angrath can do exactly that. He can apply pressure to a control deck in the form of making them lose 2 life each turn, but also in the form of making them discard a card. So Angrath's absolutely terrific, even if it's just for his plus ability. If you get it off multiple times, he is more than paid for himself. And then, of course, we have an extra Carnage Tyrant here. There's a lot of matchups that just cannot deal with a Carnage Tyrant. And a lot of the blue-black decks, even though that Doomfall and things like that are available, they just can't get to your Carnage Tyrant because of your Regisaur Alphas and your other cards. So, Carnage Tyrant, absolutely terrific card. And I see why Rush wants to continue running 3 here. That is Rush's deck, though, guys. We're going to see if we can have some fun here with the Fling and have some fun with the Sword Point Diplomacy. So hopefully we'll get to cast these cards for some effect and, just blow some people out, right? We're going to jump into the queues here. Come on, move. Doesn't want to move. Just doesn't want to move. No opponent? Come on. No opponent? What's going on? Well, Rush, I may have to just put yours over in the fun category, testing. Let's do that. Let's see if we can find an opponent there. Alright, so... Yep. Open play, tournament practice. And we'll just host a new match. We should get an opponent here. Alright. Well, is it no one playing Magic the Gathering? Many Magic players ask. Alright, so let's start the match. We've got the Wretched 3-7. Here we go. Might as well say good luck, have fun. And then we won the dice roll, so we're going to be on the play. Now, looking at our land base here, this is great. I'm not extremely happy about my second one coming in tapped, but I'm actually okay with that. The Glint Sleeve Siphoner should be able to do some good work here. So I'm going to start with the... I want to get the multiple green sources down, so I'm going to start with the Sheltered Thicket. So I'm going to keep... We'll play the Sheltered Thicket, and then we'll just pass the turn. Next turn we can play the Woodland Cemetery. It'll come in untapped, allowing us to get down a Glint Sleeve Siphoner, which should be pretty beneficial for us. Punished. I got punished. Alright, so I'm still going to go the Woodland Cemetery here. I got punished for making that play. Okay, so the other play of playing into the unknown, or playing into your outs, as some people calls it, we would have played the Canyon Slough there. It would have been a tapped black source. We could have followed that up with an Aether Hub to draw a card next turn, which would have increased the threat of our Glint Sleeve Siphoner exponentially, meaning like the whole point would be that we would get to draw a card before we had the chance to seal it away. So, we do not have the energy to pay for this. Now, it's possible that this Carnage Tyrant is going to be everything we could possibly dream of. Alright, I could play the Aether Hub and play... I think I play the Canyon Slough here. I mean, if we really want to play around the seal away, we play Aether Hub and then just pass and don't swing. But because we have Thrashing Brontodon, I'm okay with that. But I want to be able to play Thrashing and use his ability the same turn. So I'm going to go ahead and Canyon Slough here. And then we're just going to jump into combat, gain our extra energy, and if he does have the seal away, then we'll deal with it there. Glint Sleeve Siphoner, what an awesome card. It's probably my favorite energy card. Yes, there were some other really good energy cards, but this one is probably my favorite. So now we've pushed the threat there. The Glint Sleeve is dangerous. Alright, well, I think we just gained some life here. Unless he has an Essence Scatter. If he does have an Essence Scatter, then that's fine. Yeah, that works out okay for us. Alright, so... do we play into the Disallow? I think we play into enchantment base removal here. Let's hope he's got enchantment base removal. Nope, just more counter. Ooh, syncopate. Well, that is very nice. Alright, well, let's see if we can get down the Phoenix. Alright, well, now he more than likely has cast out. Vraska's Contempt. Okay. So no cast outs. He's just blue, black, splash white for probably Teferi then. More than likely the deck we've seen a couple. Come on. It's not cool. Not cool. Not cool. At least we have a beater now if this survives. Glimmer by the opponent. Okay. Land. Alright, it was a land. Let's go ahead and swing. Alright, so let's see if he has Fumigate. Or Commit. He may have Commit. He will need Settle, Fumigate, Commit, something like that. So can't be countered. The spell can't be countered. He does have the Commit, which is good. That's not bad. We're going to draw a card, play a Carnage Tyrant. The next turn, play another Carnage Tyrant. So the fact that we have the extra one in our hand and he thinks that he's bought himself a little bit of time is just kind of fun. He scoops it up. He knows there's another one coming next turn. So, yeah, Carnage Tyrant's going to be absolutely terrific here. He's blue-black, so I am going to bring in the Sorcerer's Spyglasses. And I'm going to take out the cast downs. I expect that most of the creatures he's going to have are probably going to be like a legendary, you know, like the Scarab God or something like that. Now we can kill a Torrential Gearhulk or a Glensleeve Siphoner with this, so maybe I should hang on to it. But I'm also going to trim back on a couple of Braids. Because we don't really want him to exile our stuff, I might keep in the Flings. Plus, you know, I think Rush wouldn't like it if I didn't keep in the Flings. Thrashing Brontodon's probably not going to be at its absolute best here. So maybe I should just keep the Abrades and get rid of Brontodon. However, that does cut our creature count down quite a bit. Honestly, I want to trade the Sword Point Diplomacies out for the two Argyle's Bloodfast, considering this is a control matchup. I don't think we're going to be coming in fast enough to really deal with it. I'm not taking out the Deathgorge Scavengers because I believe if this is the Scarab God deck, then this would be the absolute best card that we would want, and being able to eat at the graveyard, being able to like keep spells out of the graveyard for the Torrential Gearhulks, things of that nature. So I'm going to keep in the Deathgorge Scavengers. I really want to like cast this Sword Point Diplomacy, so I am going to leave it in. I am going to peel back on a Fling though, because I don't believe Fling is the best card. Man, I really want these Argyle's Bloodfast. There's just not anything else that we could really bring in here. I am going to cut back one Regisaur Alpha. I know that seems rough, just for this Angrath here. And then we're going to run it like that. Honestly, a lot of the ins and outs don't match up really well. So I don't know exactly how I would want. Like there's not a lot of Like Sword Point Diplomacy, like if you're going to run that card, maybe it should just be Argyle's Bloodfast main board. I'm just really not a fan of it, but I do want to try to cast it and see what we can do with it. So we've got a bunch of lands. We can play the Canyon Slough on turn 1. I mean, if we top deck a Glint Sleeve Glint Sleeve Siphoner in the next 2 turns, then we're doing pretty good. I could have kept that, play the Swamp instead. It would have brought in the Woodland Cemetery. However, the Rootbound Crag would have still entered tapped. So we're gonna Glint Sleeve. Nope, no Glint Sleeve. Oh well. We don't have to show him our energy yet. We're not really putting any real pressure on the opponent right now, and that kind of bothers me. However, we are going to try to duress here, so I'll just go ahead and play the Rootbound Crag. We'll duress the opponent, see what he has. He may have a counter spell for this. Negate on the duress seems decent. We do need to hit some creatures. I know I cut down the creature count by playing the ooh. I think we just pass. I mean, if he just goes for his the Scarab God, or he goes for his Teferi right here, we just kill it. So yeah, we're just gonna pass. He didn't even have a Glimmer to use at the end of our turn. Another Woodland Cemetery. Again, we'll just pass. We're definitely not in a position to be trying to like use Sword Point Diplomacy here. So let's Rekindling Phoenix. It's probably going to cost us one of our energy, because we're more than likely going to have to upbraid this Rekindling Phoenix, but I'm okay with that. Okay, so if we upbraid our Rekindling Phoenix here, we're going to keep him from gaining the life, and we're more than likely going to get an extra kill spell out of him. Or a counter. I kind of expected to I kind of expected to to lose the token anyway. That was kind of the point of the abrade, was to get the token to get yet another card out of him. So getting a syncopate is just fine. Definitely think I want to go for our first Carnage Tyrant here. He more than likely has something like Doomfall or Eldest Reborn or something like that. Maybe not. Settle? Just no answer? I guess he can answer. Alright, we're going to use our Sword Point Diplomacy here. And we'll see what he gives us. He gave it all to us. Every bit of it. He has to deal with this Carnage Tyrant, or he can't accept the extra damage. green, red, cancel. Green, red. Regisaur Alpha. Okay, he commits the Regisaur Alpha. We play land Phoenix. Swing. Cast down on the Phoenix. Fatal push on the Phoenix. Guys, he may just be losing to Carnage Tyrant here. You guys hear me, like, quite often I'm mentioning the fact that, you know, Carnage Tyrant is a real thing. You have to be able to answer Carnage Tyrant. If you can't answer Carnage Tyrant, then for better or worse, you're just going to die. The creature is just absolutely horrible to deal with. Well, he's just dead. Well, he's dead. He's got 2 mana. So let's go ahead and duress first. Make him spend the 2 mana. Okay, he's got negate, syncopate, Vraska's contempt. Yeah, it's over. It's over, opponent. Pack it up. Go home. Get out of here. We were actually about to fling kill him. The plan was there to take his negate, and then from taking the negate, we were going to swing with the Carnage Tyrant, use fling, and then just fling the Carnage Tyrant at him for the last single point of damage. Not bad. I do like the cards. Again, you know, Rush didn't go overboard, and I think that's something that we can all kind of learn. I always say that there's at least 1 or 2 spots, up to 4 spots. I try to stay at 1 or 2 cards per deck of fun cards, but there's always those fun of cards. You're always allowed a fun of in a deck, and Rush has shown us that right here. We took a very highly tuned deck that the Coffee Time crew, Rush himself, James, all of those guys spent a lot of time working on this deck. And then there was a couple cards that Rush didn't have, and he just didn't want to go purchase those Chandras and things like that. So, you know, he said, hey, I'm going to try some of these other cards here. I'm still not a fan of Sword Point Diplomacy, but I get it. There's going to be those times where they're like, fine, you can have all 3 of those. But he gave us all 3 of those because he knew that he could deal with those cards. He had the cards in his hand to deal with them. If he could not deal with a Rekindling Phoenix, he would not give us a creature that could hit him for 4. He would rather just take the 3, and again, it was his choice, and he gave them to us because he had the cards to deal with it. It was the Carnage Tyrant in the end that killed him. However, again, Fling was about to be absolutely terrific. We also had another line where we could Regisaur Alpha, and he couldn't syncopate for more than 1, so we were still going to get that Regisaur Alpha in. He couldn't cast his Vraska's Contempt, so even Carnage Tyrant and just a little 3/3 was going to be able to be enough to finish the opponent off. So do we need the fun ofs? No, not really. So could those fun ofs actually just be more powerful cards? Yes, they could. Is the deck just trash because you're not running Chandra and you're not running Fatal Push? No. We just seen it, you know, like we just seen it, you know, give a really good fight against a pretty decent control deck there by the looks of it. So I mean that deck wasn't holding punches. It had Vraska's Contempts, it had Fatal Pushes, it had, you know, the whole package. We seen Teferi, Glimmer of Genius, just a lot of, you know, really powerful spells that you would expect to see in a good control deck, and the deck fought against that very well. We went 2-0 against it. So, you know, Rush, it's a really good deck. I see why you like playing around with it. It does have your fling in it. It's got your Sword Point Diplomacy in it. But honestly, if you're just trying to draw some cards, maybe Sword Point may not be the better card. Maybe you want to try your other fun of card and try your Driven to Despair. Giving all of your creatures trample and stuff. There's a lot of people making Thopters and stuff right now. Also in M19, beware of Psy. Psy is going to get a lot of play. There are going to be a lot of Thopters flying around, so make sure that you're watching out for that. So your Driven to Despair might become a much better card than it was in the past. Just giving all of your creatures trample, making them discard cards, you drawing cards. It could go very, very well for you, so maybe you want to play around with that. Personally, still not a fan of Sword Point Diplomacy. Even though we drew cards, I 100% believe the only reason we drew those cards is because the opponent knew without a doubt he was holding the cards in his hand to deal with the cards that he gave us. So it's much better to let us spend our mana to deal with them that way than it is for him to pay his life. So in the end, I'm not a fan of Sword Point Diplomacy. Again, Argyle's Bloodfast would just suit the spot better. If you don't have the Chandras, personally I would rather have 2 Chandras in that place, but I do like the fact that you picked something that was under 4 converted mana cost. Like a lot of lessons can be learned from Rush's deck right here. You can still have fun. You can take these highly tuned decks. You can put your fun of cards in. Be careful with how far you go with it. Don't take it too far to the point where you've got 7 or 8. Don't put full play sets of fun of cards, and unless you're just putting a play set of 1 card. Don't put a play set of this and a play set of that and say, hey, these are my 2 fun cards. No, don't do that. Again, this is kind of stretching it right here. 2 of one and 2 of another. That's about as far as I would go. And Rush, awesome deck. Have some fun with it, man. My name's Eric from Sideboard MTG. I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys have fun. We'll see you next time.